Call the Washington County Board of Education meeting to order. After a moment of silence, Ms. Buchanan's going to lead us in the pledge.
You all rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Thank you all. I'm glad you stood up. Can we get a motion for consideration of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Approve it.
Second.
David Hammonds and Mike Masters.
Thank you for that, because I can't hear.
Figured. Will we be voting on this tonight? On the, like when we vote, are we gonna vote on this or we gonna vote it? Okay. Oh, I got better. Say when.
Waiting on Mr. Meredith.
Mr. Meredith, did you vote?
Oh, I'm just now getting in, but I'd say yeah.
Say yes.
Sorry.
No rush.
I'm
We're just waiting on you.
Sorry.
It carries.
Okay. And can we get a motion for consideration of the meeting agenda?
I'll make it motion.
Second.
Get that?
I did, thank you.
Okay.
Open. Is that a yes, Mr. Meredith?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
It carries.
Do you introduce this?
And last week's meeting.
Actually, I think maybe you do.
Okay. Or just welcome.
Yes, please, just welcome.
We'd like to welcome Mr. Kevin Long. To the, you may have something for us.
Thank you, Chairman Day, members of the board, Superintendent Flannery. It's my privilege to be here tonight to present to you the TSBA Board of Distinction Award. This award is one of TSBA's most prestigious awards. I commend you and your board for meeting the requirements for 4 key areas: planning, policy, promotion, and board development. As you know, the requirements are extensive, and not every board qualifies as Board of Distinction. However, your board is among the select few. On behalf of the Tennessee School Board Association, I'm proud to present the Board of Distinction Award to the Washington County Board of Education. Congratulations. I would be remiss as to say that your board secretary had a whole lot to do with this.
No, our chairman.
This word. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
If y'all don't mind, I'm gonna go back to Johnson.
Stick around.
Shut the gate when you get up
That's
there.
right. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, now we have the director's report.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, our student board member this month is Emma Dees. Emma, you have just finished a remarkable basketball career at David Crockett High School. Could you give us just a real quick rundown of what all y'all accomplished this year on the court at Crockett?
I think we counted up 11 or 13 things. I can't remember all
Well, what can you remember?
accomplished, but I know this is the first time we've ever hosted a region game. The first time we've ever hosted a region game. I know it's the first time we ever swept Boone, It's the first time we ever beat DB twice in one season. First time we beat DB in over 30 years, I think. And I think, you know, it's what? Tennessee High 3 times. And we competed with Scienceville, which is not usual.
Yeah, that's saying something.
So I think, I mean, we had one of the best seasons in a long time. So I was
Yeah.
proud of us.
Yes,
Yep,
well
good
done.
job.
Thank you.
And before we move on, where are you gonna be this time next year?
ETSU, I'm gonna study to become a speech pathologist. So just
All right.
going to school.
We hire several of those, so don't forget where you came from. All right, thank you so much. All right, if you could get me live up there. I'm gonna lose this just for a minute. There are 298 bills that have been filed by the Tennessee General Assembly just for education. And we can't keep up with all of them, so I called TSBA, I called TOS, and I called some other people that we know. And I said, which ones do you think our school board needs to be aware of or on top of, or at least this week? So if we can get that,
Switching over, right?
okay. And, okay, this call to Ben Torres, he said that we really want to keep an eye on this one. Senate Bill 124 allows the people in our schools to actually contact parents in the event of child sexual abuse. Last year, the state passed a law that prohibited us from doing that. Come to find out, that's illegal under federal law. So we have been training our people in-house to do something that's against the law. So the General Assembly is trying to fix that. Ben also said it'd be good if school boards across the state were up to speed on this one. Senate Bill 479 requires the state board to give a license to people that come in from out of state with a license. Right now, if somebody graduated, let's say from UVA Wise or UNC Asheville with a teaching license, we could forget about it. It's so difficult to get a license in Tennessee. They weren't fair game for us, so to speak. This will take care of it if it passes. This is something TSBA is pushing. This is something we need to push. It will make it a lot easier and simpler for us to find qualified teachers when it comes time to do so. Next, it won't take much time. This is the one everybody's watching, House Bill 777. This is the one that holds school systems harmless this coming year for BEP calculations. Senate Bill 0774 is the companion bill in the Senate. Folks, without that, if they don't do something, and the only calculator I've got is a 4-function calculator, but without that, we may be looking at an $800,000 shortfall when we get our BEP estimates. A lot of the folks I talked to in Nashville are not sure that our legislators understand how important this is. They think that ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 can fill the gap, and that's your one-time money, whereas BEP is forever money. Couple of 3 other bills that some folks said that we ought to be looking at. House Bill 10, and Kelly, this applies to you. They're wanting to remove the religious exemption for vaccinations, but that ran into such a buzzsaw that it's been taken off notice. House Bill 1096 provides immunity or civil liability for school employees that have to break up a fight. And I've been doing that for almost 40 years in high schools, and all of a sudden we can be sued for it. But the legislature's trying to protect us now. Senate Bill 769 would make it illegal in Tennessee for any textbook to have anything to do with Common Core. I thought that was over with years ago, but apparently not. Senate Bill 228, and this has been all over national news, requires that a student's gender for purposes of participation in interscholastic sports be determined by gender at the time of the student's birth. I know that is a bill in state legislatures in at least 20 states, but Tennessee managed to make CNN with this bill because it passed our state Senate. I actually watched a Senate Education Committee debate on this, and there were people that spoke to the committee. It is a slam dunk that Tennessee will be sued in federal court if this becomes law. All right. HB 103 requires local school systems, get this, to provide instruction in firearm safety. We have to teach gun safety if this passes. HB 537 increases, and Kelly, this is on you too. Right now, BEP funds 1 nurse for every 3,000 students. If this passes, the BEP will fund 1 nurse for every 750 students. And we need that in the worst way. That will help us tremendously. Lastly, HB 0225 will give local school boards sole authority to open or close public schools during a public health emergency. And here I thought you all already had that. But anyway, that's some of the things that our General Assembly are looking at amongst the 200 and odd bills that they are looking at. A little bit of a COVID update. How many of you look at the county snapshot every day? I do. If you look at red line, we're on a 7-day average of 17.3, but it has been hovering in that area for almost a month. And I meet with the health department virtually twice a week, and they can't figure out why. I guess the good news is, back in December, we were pushing 200 cases a day, and now we're down to 17. But there's that. You did not get my usual daily email, but there it is. We're down to, actually, I took that snapshot this morning. That 27 confirmed cases as of this minute is down to 18. That is 0.2% of the students and adults in our schools. Statistically, we have more people today suffering from gout than COVID-19. Let's hope it stays that way. At 367 isolated, that's down 32% in 1 week. So whatever we're doing, we need to keep doing it. And to quote my friend and colleague Kelly Wagner, that bear ain't dead yet. So the Center for Disease Control and the Tennessee Department of Health are both recommending that continued use of masks in K-12 schools as a means of preventing the spread of COVID-19 should be continued. This is something that this board adopted back in September of last year. Next on the agenda, and that won't take much time, we have some really good friends in the Niswonger Foundation, and some months ago they created a branch of the foundation called the Comprehensive Educational Resources Department. They took data from the State Department and came up with some things you might find interesting. In 2017, Washington County, just in math scores, ranked 3rd in Northeast Tennessee and 19th in the state in overall math scores. There's 146 school systems in the state of Tennessee. In 2018, we dropped a little bit. 4th in Northeast Tennessee, 26 overall. It's a little old Washington County up here, county system in Northeast Tennessee. And in 2019, we jumped back up to 3rd. Only Johnson City and Elizabeth had higher scores. Still ranked 27th in the state of Tennessee out of 146 school systems.
Is that all grades, Dr. Fleming?
That is all grades 3 through the high school test. And that runs up in math, that runs through algebra 2. We get 3 EOCs. English, different. Actually, 3 years ago, ranked 13th in the state, 3rd in Northeast Tennessee. Dropped a little bit in 2018, and brought Ashley Keys on, and we jumped back up. I'm sure it's something she did. So we are now ranked, that's the last year we have test scores, 2nd in Northeast Tennessee, only behind Johnson City, and 15th overall in the entire state of Tennessee. That's in all mandatory English tests. Now, they took every test, that includes social studies and the tests we give in science, and came up with this. That's every test mandated by the state of Tennessee, grades 3 through high school. Washington County ranks 3rd in Northeast Tennessee and 20th in the entire state. I was at a retreat this weekend with all of those superintendents, every one of them. And Niswonger flashed that chart up on the screen, and it was hard not to feel just a little bit of pride. I'm sitting there with Bristol and Kingsport and Greenville, and we're eating our lunch. And out of those 19 school systems, where do you think Washington County ranks in terms of funding? 19th.
You have your shoulders back, chest down.
It was hard enough to just jump up and say something out loud. But expression's the better part of valor. This is a scatter plot. Those blue dots represent every school systems in the state of Tennessee. The y-axis on the left, the up and down axis, is relative test performance. You'll notice there are very few blue dots above Washington County. Now the x-axis across the bottom, the further to the right you are, the more students you have that are economically disadvantaged. What this tells us is Washington County does very well on tests, but we also have very few students that are economically deprived. Now you can't prove cause and effect, but it is, I think that the doctors out there in the audience can tell you statistically that one follows the other like a dog on a leash, so to speak.
And that's why you've got a downward sloping line, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because if you move out, those
Yeah, for some reason that
Bringing
line's
the
called a
numbers down.
curve. So yeah, that's the
average or something.
yes, everything above that line is equal to everything below that line. It's
Right.
called the sum of least squared, if I remember my graduate program. Any questions or comments on how well we're doing? I may just put that whole thing in tomorrow's update so that you can show it to people too.
I was gonna say, has the media been informed of this?
It's there. We're gonna scatter this out to the world
Okay.
tomorrow, starting with the students, because that's pretty darn good information.
Proud of our people. Done a good job. Very proud.
We've got some great professional educators in Washington County and have for a long time. Let me see if I can get back on track. Under other, if you will, make a note, the Teacher of the Year Banquet, and you'll get this tomorrow too, is set for Monday, May the 10th at the Heritage in Jonesboro. And we're not only going to honor this year's group, but since last year we couldn't have a banquet, we'll bring back in the 3 top winners from last year as well. And Jim, are we able to, I think we're going to let them bring spouses and principals. Okay, so we'll have a pretty good sized crowd in there. Also, next, please let us know if you have last minute items to put in the budget. You know, you've got a budget meeting next Monday. Please tell me, tell Brad, tell both of us. Please let us know in advance if you need something put in there. That way we can have some money tied to it. Governor Lee issued another executive order. Is this board interested in having remote meetings anymore?
No.
Moving on then.
I
Okay.
had my vaccine.
Yeah, me and you are immune.
I took my horse medicine.
So we're good.
We gotta wait till-
All right, last on my list, every year since forever, this board has taken school tours in the spring. Last year, obviously, you couldn't do that, just could not do that because schools were closed. This year, I'm wondering, do you want to do that? I mean, I just want to hear dialogue, not a motion, not a policy, but do you want to go visit the schools personally, or we have an option for the principals to create video tours? They're pretty good at that now. So, talk.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
My only question is, with us, and I love the school visits, but will we be in the way? Will we cause more havoc, you know, because they've been out virtual learning and back in now in person? I mean,
You know, when the board tours the school, it's a disruption, best you can do. I'm thinking like last week we got notified on a Friday that one of our elementary school principals had to quarantine. Had the board been in school with him that day, you'd every one be quarantined except for me and Mary Beth. And if you had gone to another school, you may have shut down another school. So I mean, there's something you need to think about. You know, but by the end of the year, actually, if you want to go to the schools, we need to start planning that immediately because it's already March and we generally start in January.
But they're gonna be in full, testing mode too, pretty much in April, aren't they?
They'll start testing, when is that, Cindy? It's 1st of April, is it not?
April 12th is when the window.
April 12th, so,
Well, I'm in favor of the school tours. I really enjoy going and walking through the schools, but I feel like what you just said changed my mind. Let's kick it this year again, and then we'll start it up next year. But now I will never support doing without going through the schools. I've done it for 16 years. But with what you just said, I feel like let's let them go and let them go through.
I don't wanna take the disruption. They've not been in person. They need that day. We don't need to be messing with them.
Other comments?
I concur.
We'll ask the principals to prepare virtual tours for you with some data, some other things. Some of them are actually looking forward to
I just
doing
think that's just something else to add on top
I'll
of
tell
what
you
they're
what
doing.
I'd like to see, or in my opinion, I'd like to have a wish list or a needs list from the principal be presented to us. From each principal, give us a needs list, and we can, you know, and that needs to be done here next 10 days for budget issues. Whoever, which one?
Ladies, go ahead.
Well, I just don't want to, principals have enough on them right now. I just don't wanna add something on top of that to them. I mean, we can look at the data, you can share the data with us. I just don't feel like we need to add more on top of what they're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Haggard.
I agree in terms of making it a requirement, but if they want to do that, then I think this board would like to see what they're doing.
That's my thought, make it optional.
Sure. And
Well,
if they
probably
wanna do
not.
it, then fine, and then if they don't, then that's fine. But I think it's important for this board to kinda hear from the folks down in the trenches what's going on,
I do too.
other than phone calls.
Or emails.
So, I mean, optional is what, yeah.
All right, I'll put my mask on, I'm done, thank you.
What about the retirement thing that I sent you?
We're gonna plan that anyway,
Okay.
and usually have that in June. We've been talking about it. We may need to move it out of this building to spread out. I don't know that we can bring in last year's, that'd be a huge crowd.
Can we do it at the high school and do it?
We might could do that, maybe let one of the high school home ec departments cater it. Push it out as far as we can, cause let's face it, some of them people are old.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
Yeah, I think we
ought
need to bring last year's in.
recognize them if they would like.
Yeah,
And-
just couldn't last year, but we definitely want to this year, but we want to push it out so as many people can get vaccinated as can.
Please.
And I think they dropped it down to age 60 and higher, which will take in just about all of us now. Yeah, that's in the works.
Thank you.
All right, is that it?
Yes.
Jason? Yep. I don't know if this is the time to ask or not, but I've been getting a lot of emails and texts and stuff about virtual Wednesdays. Have you made a decision about that, or we?
The email I sent you some days ago, I can get behind virtual Wednesdays at the high schools.
Was that your decision or our decision?
Well, it's yours.
Well, are we
That's a
gonna vote on
complete
it
change in
tonight?
the attendance
Is it
protocol.
coming up? I don't know what's
It
gonna
ain't on
be
the agenda.
It's the,
That's
actually,
school
school
operation
operation
policy.
protocol is an
Operation.
action item.
Okay, we'll
There you
wait
go.
on it then.
Okay.
Sorry.
Here in just a minute. Okay, there's a request to address the board, Mr. Charles Robinson. Let me read this to you real quick, as protocol. Individuals speaking to the board shall address remarks to the chairman and may direct questions to individual board may direct questions to individual board members or staff members only upon approval of the chairman. Each person speaking shall have his or her name, address, and subject of presentation. Remarks will be limited to 5 minutes unless time is extended by the majority vote of the board. The chairman shall have the authority to terminate the remarks of any individual who does not adhere to above rules or chooses to be abusive to any individual school board member as a whole. Members of the board and the director of schools may have the privilege of asking questions of any person who addresses the board. Fair enough?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 5 minutes. Thank you.
My name's Charles Robinson. I live at 122 Atoll Way in Jonesboro, and I'm the parent of a 7th grade student at Boones Creek K-8 school. I'm here to express my concerns over how the new virtual program for grades 5 through 8 was rolled out. and what that means for the future. First, though, I would like to thank the Board of Education and Dr. Flannery for ensuring that all virtual learning is available for students in grades 5 through 8 who do not want to be in a classroom right now, regardless of their reason for that. And I would especially like to thank Ms. Buchanan, who seems to have been a champion for that cause. There's no doubt that it's been a difficult school year for parents, students, and teachers. And I greatly appreciate the efforts that the teachers have put in to make it work. I can't speak for everyone, but I can say that the first part of the school year worked out very well for my son. This was where he was virtually learning from a live teacher that was in the classroom while he was at home. I know that the Board of Education does not have an easy job. You all have to make difficult decisions taking into account a variety of information. But I would also like to mention that the only written plan that has been released for parents indicated that there would be no students in the classroom if the 14-day rolling average number of new cases in Washington County was more than 11 per 100,000 residents, due to the fact that this was considered substantial community spread. And on January 26th, the day that the vote was taken to send all students back, that number was at over 38. So I hope you understand why there are many students and parents who wish to still remain all virtual. Following the vote on January 26th, there was no indication that anything would be different for all virtual students this time that everyone was brought back into the schools. There was nothing in the media reports. There was nothing in the meeting minutes that I could find. There was no email from the school system. Nothing was mentioned when I called the school to see if I needed to submit a new contract. And for the first week, everything was the same. Then on Friday, we got a rather cryptic message from a teacher. On Monday, there was an orientation meeting to introduce GradPoint, which is an online system with no live instruction. The all virtual students were pulled out of their classes and placed into this program with no teachers or classmates. During that orientation meeting, there were several parents who expressed the desire for their children to have virtual learning that involved an actual live teacher, and I agree with them. During the summer, I did extensive research on the virtual learning options that are available to us in Tennessee. Those results were not encouraging. The largest, most readily available program is the Tennessee K-12 Virtual Academy, provided through the Union County Board of Education, which I understand uses a similar type of online program. Testing results have shown it to be an abject failure. They sign kids up, and then it's out of sight, out of mind. There's inadequate support offered through the school system, there's no accountability, and eventually many students just get frustrated and give up. In my personal experience, it's been about a little over 20 years since I graduated from high school, and looking back, I feel a debt of gratitude to every teacher that I have ever had. I firmly believe that there are many things that made my teachers great that cannot ever be replicated by a computer program. One, their enthusiasm was contagious. They got the students excited about learning. We didn't just learn the material, we actually learned from our teachers' personalities that exposed us to different perspectives. And most importantly, they made adjustments to meet the specific needs of their students because they actually cared about us. GradPoint doesn't care. It just expects you to rehash the same material over and over again if you don't get it the first time until you finally do get it, and then you move on to the next assignment. The coronavirus numbers in Washington County are thankfully coming down. And there's good news all around in regard to the effectiveness of the vaccines and the distribution of them. But there are no guarantees. There's mutations out there, and the vaccines are not yet approved for children under the age of 16. So please don't take it for granted that everything will be back to normal in the fall. We just don't know. I hope that my son is able to return to school in person for the 8th grade. I hope that my daughter is able to start kindergarten in September. But I recognize that COVID-19 has permanently changed many things, and I hope that you all do too. Please plan to continue to make all virtual learning available to the students in grades 5 through 8 who want it. If it's GradPoint, I ask you to make sure to allocate the resources that are necessary for student success. I would hope that we'd be able to pool the resources and teachers across the 5 through 8 schools to allow some form of live instruction to be offered. Maybe even make use of teachers who don't want to be in the classroom for health reasons. Washington County has some great teachers, as Dr. Flannery pointed out earlier, and all virtual students need to be able to benefit from them. Thank you for listening to my concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, under action items, is school operation protocol. Mary Beth?
I make a motion that we keep teachers duty-free lunch.
There's no reason to do that though, is there? Because I mean, we're already doing it, right?
That was brought up, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I don't think we need a motion, because we're not.
Unless you're gonna do away with it.
Okay, then we're good.
You rescind?
I rescind.
All right, what else was under, is that it, under that? I
No,
thought that was,
should have been-
I thought that was for the high school.
I make a motion that we allow, virtual Wednesday for the high schools.
Second.
Any discussion?
I think, that they made it clear that all of the people that have contacted us on their schedule and how many hours they're putting in past their normal. And I think this is what they think is going to be able to help them communicate with their, students. Virtual and, they just need that day. Go ahead.
Well, we just sat here and listened to a guy that told us about 5/8. Now, I mean, it's,
Those students would still have a live teacher. They won't be on grade point. By the way, it's 6/8, not 5/8.
okay. Well, I mean,
And it's just one day a week.
Yeah.
They're still gonna be in 4. I'm sorry. go
Ms.
ahead.
Buchanan?
So these Wednesdays will be remote learning for most of the kids, but what they need, from my understanding, is they need a little more time to work with those kids who are remote learning. We've got math teachers who are doing Google Meets on Saturdays with these kids to help them. We have one math teacher that I know of who meets with those kids at 7:30 at night. So they're not just dropping and going home, they're working 2 jobs, essentially. And so they need that day to kind of help give them some relief. You've got teachers in the buildings on the weekends preparing their lessons and answering emails and texts for online students. I mean, you've just got more and more and more and more. Okay,
Amber, what do you think? This is you,
I mean,
starting next week.
I'm a virtual learner. I have been since, well, I didn't go back once we all came back for personal reasons,
Okay.
but I think that unless it would be harder on the teachers to have to prepare to learn full virtually, which I don't necessarily see, but I'm not going to say that it wouldn't be, then I don't see why learning on virtual wouldn't be beneficial for everyone. Because I know a lot of times I have to watch, like recordings of meets rather than being in the meets, or recordings of lessons, and I do think that, I know my teachers have had problems where your computer glitches and the whole lesson you just recorded is gone, and you have to go back after school hours and fix it. And so maybe the full virtual Wednesdays would kind of help them take care of that, and we could have more communication from a live teacher.
That's what I've heard, is the communication
Yeah.
piece needs to be there.
Mr. Flainer?
Can we ask Dr. Keys about that? If she'd like to share.
I'll be quick. So, I did some
So we're at
research
5
to
minutes.
see what other counties are doing. 5 minutes.
Two for you.
And so, I can talk fast. So, right now, we have 5 other counties out of 12 in our area who have a virtual day for their teachers. And some of them pay their teachers a stipend on top of that. We have teachers that have been recruited just for virtual classes, like what Johnson City's doing, where it might be the first period if I'm a teacher, I have all virtual students, and then second period I have in person. We were not able to work that into our master schedule. We looked at it, our high school principals, we really tried. It did not work. 2 other districts are doing what we're doing, Bristol City and Unicoi County, and that's it. Our teachers are exhausted. I encourage you to go into the buildings and talk to them. I've never seen them like this. And just worn out. I've been doing observations, and they're trying to attend to the kids who are on the screen while the kids are in class, and it's just too much. They're being pulled in too many different directions. They need time to build inside of Canvas so that everything's in there. Canvas is just like a blank slate. If I don't upload it into BOE Connect, it's not there. Canvas is the same way. So the teachers have to create it and upload it so that students in the classroom through their Chromebooks have access, and then the kids at home have access. then they're setting up their Google Meet, and then they're asking questions to the kids online. Horrible feedback. In one of the classes I was in, it was like, "Arr!" everywhere. Just, they need that time.
Good job. Mr. Riddle.
Thank you.
My only
Thank you.
concern with it, and I've heard a lot of teachers I've spoken to that are for it, my concern would be that it would become a hangout day for some of those. There'd be some, they're gonna teach in a closet, in a box, it doesn't matter. They're gonna do a fantastic job. And we've got some that are going to wait work. So I would like to see an accountability measure with this, where we're making sure that students are getting worked with. If they've got slack time, they're not doing anything, instead of hanging out, that they're working with kids, bring at-risk kids in. Make sure that everybody is working with somebody if they're not doing their extra day planning. Make sure they're doing the most to make sure these kids are educated. That's my piece on that.
I got a question, or I guess question slash statement, I don't know what it, I don't understand how adding work to their plate to take care of Wednesday makes it any easier for them. They was complaining because they was doing virtual and in person, so they're wanting to do virtual to have time, but you're gonna have to prepare all that to do all that. So how's that? I don't understand how. But I mean.
They can extend
I
whatever,
understand how it
project-based learning on Wednesdays, it can extend the work for the students who are in the classroom. So that Wednesdays, they can bring in, like he was saying, some of those remote learners, because we can't bring them in right now, it's not safe.
Okay.
There's no time to bring them in.
I got you.
And so, like you all made back in October, when you allowed us to bring at-risk groups in, CTE groups in, the students who remain virtual, they're not having that opportunity at all anymore.
Well, I thought if they wasn't getting their virtual work done, they had to come back.
They do, there's a remote learning
You
contract
don't
in
wanna wait till
place.
they're failing though for them to get help. It's basically what you. Right.
What Keith's saying though, I thought we said that if they wasn't doing good, then they
They
come
had
back
to
to
come
school.
back
They had to be
anyway.
failing for them to bring them back, unless they wanted to come back. She's
Unless
saying
they
on-
have medical documentation otherwise, and some of those students do.
But this way they can come in and don't have to be failing to come in on Wednesday.
All right.
But this will not mess with the CTE, like if they need their students in for certificates and things like that, they can still be on campus, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
We have a motion and a
Mom
second.
sees it.
We got a motion second, let's vote, Jennifer.
It's open.
Dr. Flannery, do you have those leads on the next one? You don't?
It's in the old committee.
Jennifer gives me the go, we're going.
What's he doing over there?
Waiting on Mitch again.
No, I voted already.
All approved.
Actually, I'm gonna notify the principals myself. I've got some rules that are gonna live by.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I just had one question. When Mr. Robinson was speaking about the virtual and the grad point, I know some classes at Boones Creek, partial classes were quarantined and the students were virtual learning. Why is it the students that are, why couldn't they just, if their schedule allows with their parents, could they not go ahead and sign up virtual instead of using the grad point and be interacting with that class?
Let me see if I understand your question. The students that are on grad point are the ones that have signed a contract to be virtual, just right on.
Right.
The students that have been quarantined, it is a logistical impossibility to put them full virtual in our student management system and then bring them back after a 10 or 12 day quarantine. So we made the conscious decision to let them be virtual with their teacher. And that's not the only answer I've got.
If they, I'm saying if the students, because I know there's some issues there, the parents complained that they couldn't be on at that time, so I think that's what's really
Well, let me be just totally candid. in order to bring, in the 3 grade levels where we have students that are virtual, to bring all of them back into a classroom with a live virtual teacher would require 12 teachers at a cost of just over $300,000 just to get through the end of the school year.
Okay. Well, what I'm saying is like if they're in someone's class, they're assigned to that class, could they just not sign into that class? Like if they were back in the school and they were
Then you'd
assigned?
be back, I mean, this board are the people that told me that that was too much of a workload for that group of teachers.
Yes.
And it was.
I mean, we went round and round.
Even if
Now-
you don't have
multiple
a high
board
number,
meetings on
Now,
that's what I was.
the 5th grade has a is remote learning, correct?
Yes.
But 6th, 7th, and 8th is virtual learning with grad point.
Because grad point doesn't go below the 6th grade.
Right, so K through 5 is remote learning, and then 6th, 7th, and 8th
With a
is
teacher.
virtual.
With a teacher.
That's what remote is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wanting it for information, I just didn't know.
It was,
Because that question's been asked me if my child can sign on.
You
they say
can't
this,
flip
this
back
is
and
the
forth
least
except for the
bad
9 weeks.
solution. If we'd gone with live teachers, I would have had to ask you to go into fund balance.
I mean, we discussed that.
Yeah.
Right.
And that will, this will all end May the 30th or whenever school lets out,
I
right?
hope so.
And then,
You need to go get 2 shots and you can help make it end.
You must be immune to it.
Yeah, he is. I am too.
I'm taking my horse
Okay.
medicine.
Is that all on that one? Okay. Items to be declared surplus,
All those pictures are in, BOE.
Billy Connect.
Make a motion, we declare those items for surplus.
Second.
Okay, no discussion, vote Jennifer.
It's open.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Geez, there's welders in there.
Mr.
Well, that's what I
Riddle.
was trying to get to. I wanted to see it.
Oh, you ain't looked at that yet?
All approved.
Okay. Boones Creek Middle School demo, do you have that, Mr. Riddle?
I do. Looks like we got a couple bids on that. I guess this would include demolition and grading back the lots, bringing them back to grade. The low bid was Elu Green, $857,550. No, I'm sorry. Taff and Fry was $362,450.
Okay. Gonna make a motion, Mr. Plainer?
That's a local company.
I'd like to make a motion to go back and rebid it and pull the grade work separate from the demo work.
I thought we asked Mr. Patrick for that.
Second, so we can discuss.
Thank you, Mr. Buchanan.
You're welcome.
Second.
I'm sorry.
Did you say something, Mr. Masters? So we did ask,
I thought we asked Mr. Patrick to do that.
It may be in the
Sure, well,
bid
back.
documents, for all I know.
do you have a copy of them with you?
They're in there.
They're
Oh,
in
Billy.
which one you wanna
But
look
not
at.
all of them have, it broke out.
Yeah, it's not, it doesn't say.
That's not what they,
No, they just give one price, what I think.
I don't know if that's, you know, I don't know.
Which one would be good to pull up?
Just unit prices for.
I just don't know how you could go back on a sealed bid deal like that and,
well, we're declaring them no, and we're gonna rebid it. That's basically what we're gonna do, or,
that's sort of a lot of work,
They're the low bidders.
but.
well, we already got this,
You got one that's gonna go up, and you got one that's gonna go down, so we're gonna end up spending more money.
Okay, you got a motion and a second. Let's vote.
Wait, what was their motion?
I think we need,
Rebid, rebid it.
I
take
think
up
we
that
need
work.
to just let it go and.
Well, let's
do it and
vote.
Get it over with.
Let's vote, and if it fails, we'll discuss it.
And the motion was for approval to rebid?
Yes.
To have the grade work separate from the demo?
yes, ma'am,
Yes.
Is that correct?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
It's open.
Yeah, you know, get ready to say.
vote for him?
Don't think that's illegal.
Where you at on it before he does it?
Brad wants to give the board an update on bonuses. Is he sitting around?
Yeah.
Yes.
Holy cow, we're all voting for him.
I like Jason, let me know how you are.
We're waiting on you, Ham, so. You got a vote.
Just lost one. Motion fails. You want me to read aloud the votes?
Yeah, please.
Masters, yes. Riddle, no. Irvin, no. Buchanan, no. Day, no. Dellinger, yes. Fleener, yes. Hammond, no. Meredith, no.
Okay, any more discussion?
Well, I guess we need to,
So, at this point, I guess we can decide if we want to move forward with it, but there's
need a
the other
motion on-
factor that we've got, a proposed buyer on it, correct?
Yes, but we're not ready to discuss that yet.
Okay.
So we either need to table this and discuss it after we do that, or we need to move forward. Cause we don't have the final, right, yes, sir.
I make a motion, we move forward and tear her down.
We got a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a
Does
second?
that include?
Which,
Yes, thank you, go ahead.
no, which company you're,
The low bid.
Taps and fry.
That included the grading? No.
Yes.
That include demolition
Everything,
and bringing
everything.
it back to grade.
Think about it, well, we got a motion and a second.
Who is the low bid?
Half.
Tapped and Fry?
The reason I say yes, because,
David Ham.
well,
If-
Speaking
Well,
of,
no, let's discuss it.
no, I mean, it doesn't matter. I see where Chad's going.
I understand
If they do it
too.
correctly, somebody's gonna be high, somebody's gonna be low on one or the other, but they're probably gonna adjust their bid to compensate to get the same money. So I don't think it matters, but I understand the thought process, but that's just why. I wasn't-
Obviously not. Go ahead.
my only
I
thought
just
is,
think it's a good idea.
my only thought is, well, whatever's gonna be done there, it's gonna be a building put there. And I just don't think we need to put it on grade, let whoever buys it put it on grade. I mean, that's just my thought.
Well, look, is not the grade gonna be fill in the hole
Yes,
or
we'll
push?
fill in the hole,
They're
make it
just
look
gonna
right.
push the dirt into the thing and
No, if
level
they-
it up,
no,
that's
if they
all.
put it on grade, they won't. If they
Well,
put it on grade,
no.
it'll be pad ready.
I don't think that
No,
says
it's not gonna be
pad
pad ready.
That's
It
what
can't
grade
be.
means.
No, grade
Yes.
is not on
In
pad
the
ready.
commercial world, yes, it is.
So, I'm trying to figure this out. How much cheaper would it be just to tear it down? and
That's
not-
what we wanted to find out.
Okay.
But it voted no.
well, Mr.
I
Chairman,
voted
Yes, sir.
I mean, apparently we have somebody that has some potential interest in this, okay? They now know what it's gonna cost us to demo it. All right. I mean, I don't know that we demo it until we negotiate with them for the purchase price, because we may meet somewhere in the middle.
Okay, let me say yes. Can I say,
You can't say that. No.
I mean,
I'm just kidding.
I guess this is unofficial information, I guess you'd say. After talking with the realtor, they're gonna pay they're gonna pay to tear it down, one way or another.
Right.
Either in our adjusted raise price or our discounted price not tearing it down.
Right.
They know what it costs, they're fine with that either way. So, whether you pay for it now, and we, until Scott Bennett finishes going through the new offer, I didn't really want to get into it, but it's here, so we kinda got, I guess, discussed a little bit, but once we get the new offer on the table, we'll have to just, I mean, I think we just need to move forward with tearing the building down, and it's all gonna work out at the end of the day, it's the same money. I mean, that's just.
If we accept that offer.
And if we don't accept that offer, or if they fail to buy the property, we don't wanna wait 150 days to tear the building down to see if they're gonna buy the property. So that's why I think we need to keep moving, cause they're okay with us to keep moving. Either way. Yeah. Matter of fact, they said they'd rather have it graded.
Well, I'm sure they would.
I'm kidding about that. Okay. Vote, Jennifer.
Motion is what?
You made it.
You made it. Tear it down.
Move forward with
To move forward
With the lowest bid, Taft
Get
and
a
Fry.
word
Happy Fry. Team up tomorrow.
Okay.
Pass?
Motion carries. Unanimous.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
there's some
No,
folks
it's
gonna
not.
tour the building before it's tore down, graduates. Fire department would like to conduct some training, police would like to conduct some training. Without exception, is that okay with the owners? Until such time as the contractor moves in to tear it down.
Only thing, like I said, I'd like to have one Sunday for a little bit of tour before they do anything.
Absolutely.
That's
One
pretty
last
much what he's saying, everybody.
I'll
Yeah, that's
get-
what I'm saying, before they go in. I mean, I'm fine with what Dr. Fromich was asking, but
And who knows, it may be 2 months before they go in, I don't know
I'll
what that.
call the contractor and we'll work it out, but I want the owners of the building to know what's going on. And if you have any objections.
that's where the sheriff's department wanted to come in and do their
Yeah,
exercises.
they're gonna do some damage.
Right.
Fire department wanted to use it too, didn't they?
Yeah.
Pardon?
Fire department wants to use it too.
They're wanting to do things like drag hoses, apparently they train for that, and smoke training, all kind of pretty awful sounding stuff. So, okay.
Let me ask you real estate guys a question. Once we've let a contract to demo the building, who owns all the stuff in that building?
Them.
Okay, so if you're gonna do something to the inside of it, you probably ought, I mean, if you're gonna let people go through it and bust down doors and whatnot, you gotta do that before you sign the contract, right?
Well, that's a good point, because it's kinda like giving a grading contractor a bid, it's their dirt.
That's right.
So
All it
we
all
need to
for.
wait a couple of weeks to finish that. We need to wait several weeks to do this.
Well, we voted to do it, we don't have to sign it tomorrow, I mean, we just need to, maybe Dr. Flannery can reach out, or have Mr. Patrick reach out to Taft and Fry and let them know the community wants a little bit of time before they tear it down, and make sure, you can handle that, can't you, Dr. Flannery?
We'll get into it.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
In addition to that, I've had several people that graduated from there that would like to have a brick from there or buy a brick. I don't know if you all have or not. Is there any way to, when they tear it down, to put some bricks someplace for
We'll
those?
check on that, see if we can get 200 or 300 bricks set aside.
Okay.
I'm sure that would be a problem.
That's easy. There's
Oh.
plenty of bricks.
All right, next is re-roof bid for Daniel Boone High School.
Okay, we received bids to re-roof, partially re-roof Daniel Boone High School. The low bidder was Bernard Roofing at $1,067,895.
That's,
Mr. Flannery?
is that under what we had allotted for that?
Yes, sir.
From the county committee? Thank you.
Several.
And we do have the funding for it, correct?
Yes, that was our resolution back in October, and it comes in almost $900,000 under the resolution.
Is that in the form of a motion?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Vote Jennifer. Moving right along.
All approved.
Thank you. Grave brick repair bid, Mr. Riddle.
So we received bids on the Gray Brick Repair. Pullman Construction Company was the low bidder, $823,834. And I'd like to move that we do that in the form of a motion.
We got a second on that?
I second it.
Ah, Mr. Fleener.
Make a motion, we postpone this till Monday, please. This following Monday, put it on the agenda,
Will that be an amendment to the motion?
please.
How do we do that?
Just to get a second.
Does anybody second that? You got a reason?
I'll second it so we can discuss it.
Thank you.
Yeah, what's the reasoning?
Mr. Patrick's not here to discuss.
Postpone to when?
Okay.
We got a call meeting Monday.
We do, but.
Yeah.
What Mr. Reed said earlier about calling that.
If there's no call meeting, we can't.
Well, so say it's stuff to, you know, go with it.
If I read his email correct, Dr. Fleener,
But there's public notice.
that email that earlier.
According to the lawyer, you can't do it this Monday, but you could do it the following Monday in order to get it.
Can we do it
on the
next call
public
meeting then?
Let me ask you this, what are you thinking?
I have concerns after what he said during our workshop that I probably should ask more questions in, but after I slept, I feel not good about it. So I'd like to
On
postpone this,
fixing it?
please.
Okay. You got a motion and a second. Let's vote on it.
When are we gonna postpone it to, I guess?
Well,
Next
yeah,
time you
after
can
next.
talk about it's 25th day of March.
15th, you have called me.
So you wanna, can I amend, or can I, do I need to say that? Oh, I said Monday, like the 8th.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Or
the
what,
15th of
15th?
March, 15th of March.
15th of March.
Can you add that, or?
Yeah, I'll add that in there.
I just don't think we can do it this Monday, or no,
No, you can't. It's gotta go crazy.
All right.
15th of March.
Okay. Now, we don't, that's it.
I'm still waiting on,
But I mean,
Vote
Oh,
on the
we gotta
amendment.
vote on that, don't we?
yes, please.
Got to vote on the amendment, and
This is the
if it
amendment.
passes, then we'll wait.
Wait a minute, I thought I just voted on postponing it.
We did
That's
that.
what
That's passed.
That's what this.
We voted on the
is.
amendment.
Then we ought to be done.
Yeah, if it's
I can't vote
postponed,
on,
that's it.
the motion was to do it. He just made a motion to amend it to not do it, so I don't need to vote on doing it.
Right, parliamentary wise, if you move to defer something, and it passes, it's deferred.
We're done.
Stop.
Or it's done
Yeah.
until that next
Move on to
meeting, so
the
yeah.
Now we're at Keller Williams bid proposal.
Wait a minute, we need,
You don't have one.
We have to,
I'll fix that.
I thought she said it's
That's
done.
what I thought.
we have to vote on
The
the
amendment,
amendment,
yeah.
and we have to
It's
vote.
We
not-
just
it's-
voted on the amendment.
It's not, well.
No, we
What was
didn't.
that?
We just, I said to postpone the bid is what that just said, and you just voted on.
Deferred. Leave it on.
Well, it didn't pass, or has
did
it
it
passed?
pass?
We
Yes.
haven't got our vote yet
Now it's
on the
disappeared.
amendment.
You voted on the amendment.
I just now voted.
Yeah,
After
but
What
I
you
said
been
this.
waiting on?
We're waiting on the
The
vote
outcome
of the
of
amendment. If it passes, then we move. If it
There
don't,
it
then we go
goes.
back to the motion.
Correct.
How many times am I gonna vote? I've just voted 3 times.
What's kind of funny about this is the motion had a date certain in it, and so you made an amendment. But if it'd been any other motion, you could have deferred the whole amendment to a later date.
I thought that's what my motion was.
That's what, I know, but we
Yeah.
kept talking about it being an amendment,
Yeah.
so that's where it's kind of gotten balled up.
Now I'll put the date in there.
This is 15th, right, Jennifer?
Correct.
Okay.
You still got to vote in
Good
first.
reason.
Mine has too. I'm sitting here looking at the 3rd time.
This is,
We're gonna push the button.
I had pushed it back.
Push it again.
Can we roll call vote on that?
I ain't real sure what I voted on.
I don't either.
Th-
I don't
this-
understand why you
Yes,
vote
yes.
on a
We did-
motion that you amended to not vote on.
You
It
shouldn't have amended it.
really
You should
wasn't
have
an
said-
amendment. It was just a
It was
motion to
deferred.
postpone the motion that was on the table at the time.
But we voted
But we
twice.
didn't vote on
It
it.
was on the
Because
floor
it-
at the time.
because
You
it
know, I
was-
can't see what
it
you
was
voted on or
electronic
not, so I
problem.
don't know.
Okay, it was electronic
It was
problem.
electronic problem, the reason why you had to vote again.
yes.
It
I
disappeared.
voted 3 times.
Well, that's good.
Well, then we've had
Well,
three
you
electronic
heard
problems.
that,
Your way.
And it still ain't done.
Yes, I'm waiting on Mr. Irvin.
Mr. Irvin, vote
I
again.
want you to
Four.
vote again,
One more
man.
time,
You gotta click that yes or no.
You're so important, you've been here 16 years, I'll make
Well,
sure.
here it is again. Here it is again.
We'll get you some training there on that virtual Wednesday.
Yeah, maybe they'll let you in.
It says try again.
Click on it.
Talk to it. Tell that you love it.
You show
We
him
were
what
going
to do.
so good.
Yeah, you had to postpone something.
Emma, help him out there.
I don't, he's having problems. I don't know.
Problems, we know
Oh, he's
that.
got
Whitney, is
problems.
yours doing the same thing?
I'm undid
It
twice.
just
and
keeps
it's not
popping up.
working.
It just keeps popping up. It says, there was a problem recording your electronic vote. Please try again.
He said you
Don't
had
vote the
to-
right way. Right.
See what it done? It done, it brought it up again.
Chad, the new term is to defer.
That's what I say.
Set places
That's what you go with.
Make a motion to defer. Now,
Here.
defer.
Vote.
You can only take action.
Rolls back
Let's
on
write it
there.
over on what you do.
I can't believe I'm waiting 2.5 years to get this done, and he wants to postpone it to 15 plus
Where's your
days.
facilities person?
I don't need him. I can answer your question, what do you want to know? Yeah. Well, you got a spec book. What's your question? It's JDC.
But you check that out of the door.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Well, I have to bring it back out sometime.
Did you get it fixed?
Mary Beth.
We're good, carries.
Yeah, it carries.
With 2 no votes, Riddle and Dellinger.
Nice, Mary Beth, way to stand up.
He's influencing me, I don't know.
I think I'll change the vote.
That's all right, we were right there.
I think you did the right thing
We
for
wanna
the
get it
record.
done.
I was
It's
soft.
been kicked around
I
a
know
long
it, I'm
time,
just
we
like-
need to get it
I
done.
Right.
voted
Years.
7 or 8 times already.
Okay, Keller Williams' proposal, that we want to defer.
Wait a
You
minute.
have to,
What
you don't
about
have
the
a proposal.
Pittsburgh
So that, we're gonna move on past that.
banner?
Light efficiency study,
Moving first.
Oh, I thought that was the best.
Mr. Riddle.
Go back to it.
We're looking to possibly make a motion that we do a light efficiency study, maybe hire a group to do a study on that. That's a possibility,
Can I say something?
absolutely.
I'd sort of like to postpone that, defer it. But I don't know when.
Well, he never got a second, so there's nothing to defer.
I mean, I know, he didn't really make a motion, he said he
I'll
paused.
second it.
Okay, second.
Just for,
Because we're getting.
Are we discussing it now?
Yeah, let's discuss it, because I feel like if we're getting more ESSER money, I think we might need to look at our overall big plan before we do
that
that.
would be good, yeah. All right, I'll take back my second then.
Will we not still need a study to know what we need?
Well, I guess
I'd like to have the study already over with.
my thought process, well, there's just a lot. I mean, what do you think, Mitch?
I thought we had access to all that information already in the ESG work.
That's what I thought.
I mean, that's our
They
information.
did all the LED.
I'm not saying that they do the work, I'm saying all the engineering and all the,
Oh, well, we don't get it if
The
we don't,
study.
if we don't hire them.
but I thought it was our information.
The study had
We can go
already.
back
Paid
and,
for it.
no, we didn't pay them anything, but I think that they, but I thought that it was ours, but I may be mistaken.
I'm for it, but I think,
we did
I
pay
think,
Well, I do
Some didn't
we didn't pay them nothing, did we, Dr. Flannery?
No, they waived
why.
their fee.
Yeah, they waived their fee, so they, I don't know that we have their
Can we
information.
take a bit of that and just do the LED lighting, or do we have to go for the whole thing?
Go through the whole thing.
We have to go
My,
for the whole
my
thing.
thinking is, I don't wanna speak out of line, but I think that if we got some more ESSER money coming, we ought to wait a few weeks before we do anything.
Well, I understand what you're saying, and I like the sounds of that, but I'd still like to get the study done and see where it would be at.
Okay.
And then we decide, we know what the lights are gonna cost to do this, and are they a place for the ESSER money to be used for that, so.
Well, if we do something else with the ESSER money and we hire ESG to do the whole program, then you waste the money on study. Just throwing it out there.
Well, can I ask Dr. Flannery what a study would cost? What do you feel like it would cost? Who do we need to talk to?
Or an architect or an
Yeah,
engineer.
you need to take the architect and just tell them to do it, and it'll be, you know, $4, $6, $8, $10,000, I'm sure, if they do this every.
Didn't you?
Yeah.
Didn't you withdraw your second?
I mean, I can kinda go either way with it, but you know what I'm saying. That's my only thought.
Well, I
I mean, we're talking about a couple of weeks.
I would,
And you don't,
I would feel like we should go and do it and not do ESG. Do it ourselves, and put our savings, every bit of our savings in our own pocket.
I know, but when are we gonna know about that other ESSER money?
well, I think the Senate has to approve a $1.9 trillion bill before there is any ESSER money.
And that was gonna be, didn't they say a couple of weeks?
They're wanting it by
Before March.
The Commissioner of Education says we ought to see something by mid-March.
I'm saying 14.
But it's gotta come from the Senate. I mean, it comes out of that $1.9 trillion bill.
We'll do whatever y'all want. I'm just,
I think you wait.
Need
I think we'll
LED
wait.
lighting.
well,
All
I
the
know,
way.
but I think we might, if there's a difference of getting $5 million and $17 million, we might have a different route we
Well,
wanna go
I'm
to.
wanting to, yeah, but I don't wanna keep putting it off and putting it off. but-
Yeah, I don't either. Yes, Mayor.
Did you make a motion to defer?
Well, he didn't formally make a motion, did you?
Not really.
She might, yeah.
Well, here's the
It's
other,
everything. I mean,
here's the other thing.
Non-motion then.
Here's the other thing, I mean, Keith, I think you asked how much it would cost to do the study.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we have
Look into
Phil
that.
figure that out?
Mm.
Bring that back to Dr. Flannery,
I
bring it
like
back to
that
the board.
idea. Mhm. I like that
You know,
idea.
instead of just. let's
No,
go
we
do
don't need a
something.
motion to do that.
Right.
Can we also ask Breland Engineering to give us a quote as well, out of Knoxville?
Who?
Breland Engineering. So we want Dr. Flannery to ask Mr. Patrick to have Breland Engineering.
Well, I'm just asking for Breland Engineering bid, but I guess Keith said something about architect to see what it would charge.
Well, anything over $50,000 has to have an architect
Well,
ties.
Dr.
to
Flannery,
it.
do we need a motion to ask you to ask Philip
I
to?
sure would love for you to do that.
Okay.
That'd be nice.
Somebody might, we need to make a motion to ask Dr. Flannery to have Mr. Patrick get 3 bids.
Or quotes, or
Quotes,
not bids,
three
I mean, just
quotes
what would
for
it cost to do a study?
lighting
What would the
study.
scope be?
So,
you know?
did you put that in the form of a motion?
Can I make a motion?
3 quotes just for the study?
How you gonna pick who you gonna hire?
Well, you can hire somebody under professional services contract, and that's typically how you hire an architect.
Well, you ask him what his fee's gonna be,
Yeah,
too. You know, all.
Okay.
I'll just call 3 people and say, what do you charge us to come do a lighting study? We bid everything else out. I mean, one guy might want 20,000, one guy might want 5. I don't know.
Most
I mean, that's
architects
just what I
get so
do.
much percentage of the total job. That's
Usually
really-
architect charges 6% of whatever the job is, but that will pay the engineer in the 6%.
But you can hire an engineering company to do the same thing,
Right, you don't even need an architect.
Yep,
Some motion.
which is,
that is a motion.
Second.
Second. Okay, Jennifer, did you get that? Well,
Well, could you restate the motion?
the motion is to ask Dr. Flannery to confer with Mr. Patrick to get us 3 estimates on a lighting study.
Thank you.
Sorry, Dr. Flannery, I didn't mean to make it complicated.
I just had a question. Do Ridgeview and Grandview already have LED or not?
It was on ESG to already change theirs out.
It's 13 years old, it's fluorescent.
It's
Mr. Flannery,
fluorescent.
what was the name of that company? Dog?
Breland Engineering.
B or V?
Breland, B-R-E-E-L-A-N-D.
So Boogie Creek is the only one that has the LED.
You can get your dad to do that, that's where he works.
Yeah, if your uncle,
Know
your
what?
daddy works there, Chad, I mean, that's probably not.
I mean, it's not a good idea,
Stock
Okay,
in that company or
All
something?
carried.
all carried. Special course edition. Who has that, Dr. Flair?
That would have been Crystal Fink. It was that thing y'all debated,
Ah.
the last one about that special course that
Yeah.
Crockett teacher wants to do.
Can I speak to that?
Yes, ma'am.
I have looked at this. The state would have to approve the course because they don't have one. And they try to stay away from the philosophies. And I just don't think it's something we should even send because I don't think they're going to approve it.
That was the vibe I got last week.
So,
Okay, so we're doing nothing with that? Unless somebody wants to make a motion to do it. We're not doing anything.
If without your approval, it goes nowhere anyway.
Okay. All right, then I'm gonna move on to policy.
Wait just a second before you,
Well, hold on before I move to policy.
I didn't put this on the agenda, and I don't know if I should talk about it or not, but I'll throw it out there, and if y'all wanna talk about it, okay, or we'll wait till I put it on the agenda. Mr. Chairman, do you want me to say it, or do you want me to wait?
Can it wait?
Well, I think it's a good idea, and this board needs to be aware of it, and I really feel like we need to do it.
Is everybody okay with that?
Well, I don't know what it is, but yeah, I guess,
Well,
okay.
I've been talking to Crystal, and, you know, we've been needing CTE courses at Daniel Boone, some more CTE, and they're tight on room. And I feel like we need to go over there and build some kind of a building.
Give us a couple weeks.
I think that needs to go during our budget session.
That's what Dr. Flannery just asked. I mean, you need to get that to Brad then and look at
Well,
the
I
dollars.
mean, I think it might need to come downtown to you, or to the,
Let's wait till we see what happens to this ESSER money.
some of this, well, use some of the ESSER money, or use some of the, money that he's got down there. I'm sorry, Mitch, but you're the man, so.
He ain't got much on him tonight.
Okay, can we talk about that later in a couple weeks?
And that cleaned me out
I-
already.
That's right.
We got a plan, we don't have a plan. We need to see what happens. Something to bring to you maybe, something that works out. Okay, now policy.
2 minutes, Dr. Keith.
2 minutes, I don't need that one.
Oh,
Okay,
great.
so at the workshop, we talked about graduation requirements. We were gonna add some language in red at the top. The State Department has released information that the COVID-19 emergency rules waives the ACT requirement for this school year for seniors in case they do not take it. We're still strongly encouraging them to take it for post-secondary. This, our board policy stands in the way from the student graduating if the student did not take the ACT without this information. So we recommend that first reading is waived and it's passed on second and final reading.
Motion to waive first reading and pass 4.605 graduation requirements on second and final reading.
I second.
Discussion, Mr. Fleener.
Don't we need to wait first and just do both? I've been on all 3 of these, it was pretty simple.
If you're gonna waive first reading and pass on second for all of them, but that's up to you.
How long will that take? I mean, if we.
It won't if we stop talking.
Yeah, let's vote. I'll take a second.
Just on this one?
Yeah.
That must have been a bad idea.
We should run your ideas before the board
Well, somewhat shy.
He's got to keep it exciting.
Mary Beth wanted to make a motion, I guess I should let her.
Whenever Mary Beth wants to make a motion, we do it.
All approved.
Hurry, Mary Beth.
All right.
Okay, the next 2 policies are tied to the State Board of Education's new policy, 5.700, educator diversity, that they fully adopted In February, it requires that we have goals connected to educator diversity. Staff recommends passing on first reading for both of these.
Second. I'll second her.
Did you make the
Can't
motion?
make a motion.
Did you make the motion?
I'm putting
No,
that
because
form
I
of
was waiting
motion.
for Chad.
I'll second.
Is that just for
Very
the
bad.
one?
Let's
Sorry,
keep,
very bad.
is that for one or the other two?
Both.
Both.
Both policies.
Policies.
Motion second, any discussion? None, okay. Vote. Doing good, ain't we, Emma? You're off.
I'll
You don't
carry.
have to tell the truth.
Okay, new business. Dr. Flannery has something.
I have here a statement that WCEA would like read into the record, and I will ask student board member Emma Cruz to read what's between those lines there, please.
Dr. Flannery and Washington County board members, on behalf of Washington County teachers, WCEA would like to say thank you for making the COVID vaccines a top priority. We appreciate you closing the schools for a day and for having our classes covered so we could receive our vaccines. We appreciate the extra effort as we continue to make our schools more safe for everyone. WCEA Executive Board.
Thank you, WCEA. Does that conclude?
Yeah.
Brad, you have an update?
Yeah, and then you've got to talk dates.
This is
Mr.
on
Day.
the teacher supplement that the state sent us, that you all have approved. So my staff's been working real hard overtime on this. They're ready to go. We were targeting April on this. We're actually ready to pay this out on this coming teacher check. So just with your all's blessing, we'll go ahead and get it to them this month instead of waiting till April. The reminder on the criteria is that calculated out to be a gross pay of $470 before taxes. With the funds we received, the criteria that you had put in is you had to be employed as of December 31st. So if you got hired, January 10th, it wouldn't apply. It is certified staff only. All certified staff, we're going to pay them out of the 71-100-188 line. So you'll see that in a budget amendment at the end of the year. So what will happen is we will budget an increase to the BEP funding that we're receiving and offset this expense in that expense line item. Auditors certainly like to keep it separate like that. It's cleaner. So that'll be coming in your budget amendment. The last thing is it did only include full-time and part-time certified staff. We only have, I want to say, 2 part-time certified staff. The part-time payout's half of the $470, so $235. This is per the state. It does not include contracted certified staff. So that would be your 120 days. That was the state just said that it didn't include contracted. So that was just
How
it.
many people after January the 10th have we hired?
I'll have to check. I didn't look at that. I don't know that we've hired many certified staff since January 1st. Do you know of any?
6 or 7 interims for maternity leaves.
Sure, yeah. But
You said that was one in 116.
I'll hold it for you.
it'll go in 71-100 188.
188.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
bonus payments.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really a state supplement, but that's the line we're gonna tag it in. Auditors had
Okay.
told me last time we did it one time, they like this, they wanted it in a separate line so they can track it. That's it.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Hale.
You've been
All right,
spot
kids,
No, I was looking at
March
I'll
8th
never
at
do that again,
4:30.
John, without it. Excuse me.
Brad L. Show.
4:30?
March 8th at 4:30, Brad Hale Show, as Mitch said. March 15th at 4:30. March 22nd is a workshop. Y'all wanna do 5 o'clock on it?
What was the date of the workshop?
March 22nd. April meeting moved to April 8th
Because of spring break.
because of spring break. Many of us won't be here. And
What'd you say, April what?
the 8th,
What was the time of the March 22nd?
5 o'clock. And we need to move, May meeting So the boss is not gonna be here. Y'all wanna move it back or forward?
Who's not gonna be here?
Jennifer.
Oh.
We're going with her.
So we have to move it
It's
forward
on.
to the 13th.
I'd like to do it May 4th.
Yeah, I would too, Mike.
Keep it early.
Yeah.
I'd like to move it back to 6:30.
That wasn't an option.
That wasn't on the table.
Our
We're
meetings
talking
has
about
always
dates,
been
not
at
time.
6:30.
Honey, yeah, always.
Always
stuff.
6:30.
We ain't doing
Some of us has to
6:30.
work for a living, you know?
I understand that.
So,
So we gonna go back to May 4th
Yes.
on Tuesday?
I'd rather do that.
Was that?
at 6:30?
No, we ain't doing
Leaving the
6:30.
fifth?
No, I don't go till that Thursday.
Gee, nobody wants to do 6:30 but you.
Friday.
Everybody else likes doing what we're doing it.
Yeah, but
Be considerate
everybody
of our
else don't
feelings.
milk cows for a living either, do
Consider
they?
our feelings.
You know, or feeding or anything like that? What do you all do when you get off work?
Y'all have
You go home.
Feed the cows.
Well, yeah, you do, but what's everybody else do? Not you. It's been 6:30.
See if that works, I doubt it will.
You ready?
You good?
All at peace.
Some of those teachers are talking.
5:30, where is it?
6:30.
It's one day a month.
6:30.
Hey, Mr. Chairman.
You got all these call
He
meetings
said
at
he's ready
5?
to pay them now. Do we want to pay them now?
We moved April.
We didn't make them, so we just told him to pay them.
I don't think we told him what pay period to put it on.
No, we didn't. He just
He
said.
just
Well,
said,
he just
send
said-
them out, I think it's gonna send them out in April.
I mean, when we passed it, or when we talked about it last
You
time.
did, he just told you when you could, now he's telling you you can speed it up, so.
Let him do it.
This ain't big time.
Alright, so May 4th, Jennifer.
Thank you for doing that.
He wouldn't have done that for me.
Absolutely not. Okay. Good? Meeting adjourned. Hour and a half, Mary Beth.
He said 30 minutes.
Just think, if you went by Keith's rules, we'd